The opinions expressed by the guests on this podcast are not necessarily those of the hosts or the producers of this show.
Okay, so we were talking about the phone call. You received the phone. Yeah, it is. You were about to dial Chaz's wife, correct? And talk about the project, and then go ahead, take it from there. The phone rang.
So I'm at a pivotal point in my life. I get the greatest news ever, because in the mix for me was a film that I wrote, produced, sold. I did all on my own. I had just a lawyer, so I was completely on my own. I get this great news, and then, you know, back in the day, you had the little call waiting.
Yes.
You got to click over.
Click over.
So I click over, and it's my godfather, and he gives me this news. Now I have to take this news down to my mom.
Oh.
Who at the time is dealing with my youngest brother, who's autistic.
Right.
He was diagnosed at the time. Our house was filled with therapists because they would come in and do in-home therapy for him.
Right.
So we had 2 therapists in one room. My mom is downstairs. She's at the time like 5 or 6 years old. And I'm just thinking...
Ava's 5 or 6.
Ava's 5, 6 years old.
And how old is
And
Ace?
my brother is not home. My brother Francis is doing a TV show. I think it was American Dreams at the time. Living his best life.
Okay.
And I have to now tell this news. And as I go to my mom to tell my mom, I'm processing...
What you just heard.
What I just heard. And you don't... Like, until you say, you never think, what does it mean to be a fatherless child? Does it mean to lose a parent?
Right.
I could never conceive the magnitude or the scope to lose a present parent.
Right.
So for me, I think if I had to lose a parent, this was a little, this was easier. Like, if I had to pick my pain.
Absolutely.
Okay, I would never choose, but okay, if this is the
if this
the
is
dish,
if one or
this
two, this or that,
I got to eat it. So okay,
right.
And going back to what you said about the abandonment,
yes,
there was probably at that moment I felt the most abandonment from him.
Ooh.
The most abandonment.
The one that he couldn't avoid.
And this type of abandonment was, I had gotten comfortable with, my father's a prick. He's doing his thing or whatever. Yeah, like, no, he's not around. Like, just, it was never like a conversation.
Right.
I didn't feel the absence of him because my mother, once again, was so above and beyond a mother and father. And he was gone for my whole life, and gone for my whole life in a way that I had to adjust to. So it wasn't like I just didn't sympathize it. Like I said, there was going to be a day for that. Not now.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
so was Ava's dad present at this time?
He was present at this time.
So he was around until how old?
So he was he's actually the guy that shoots Sonny at the end of A Bronx Tale.
Oh, shit.
So when I say we're the real Bronx Tale, we're the real Bronx Tale.
Oh, my God. So he was an actor on the same film where you met your boyfriend and he met your mother?
Yes.
Oh, shit. This is, what is that called? 6 degrees of separation?
My poor mother, he was like the one night stand that she never got rid of. My mother never dated. I tell my mother this all the time. I'm like, Mom, you need to go on like a proper date.
Right.
You've had 2 men in your life and you married them.
Right.
I'm like, you need to go on a proper date.
You went on 2 dates and got married.
Got married, had babies.
Shit, I thought I was fast. I thought I was
My
fast.
mother goes right to the altar.
Yeah.
She's like, hi, what's your name? Okay.
Okay, hi, what's my last name now?
Let's go for it.
Wow.
But, yeah, and, they're 9 years apart.
Right.
Once again, my mom was in her 30s, in her early 30s now.
Right.
And our lives were just, after A Bronx Tale, our lives were just like, we were traveling everywhere. My brother had movies, TV shows, back to back. And it was just like, our life was surreal. It was amazing. And nothing slowed down till my little brother got diagnosed with autism. Then the record stopped. And my mom checked out.
Oh,
My mom was autism. My
right.
mom went from she never finished high school,
Right.
never read a book, to
Wow.
finding out my brother was diagnosed with autism and going
Above and beyond.
to Barnes and Nobles at that time and
Right.
sitting there and reading everything she could about autism.
Oh, wow.
And just going into that world mobbed up. My mom was like, she would call somebody, they would say, oh, there's a 3-year waiting list. She'd hang up, she'd call back, I have $5,000. Okay, we can see him next month.
Right. Oh,
and,
wow.
And she was just like, and
she
you
learned
couldn't
how to pull
talk
those mob strings.
Oh my God, you couldn't talk. She was threatening school districts. Like she
love
was
it.
just like, you better see. Like she used everything,
Every
that she
resource
was,
from
every
dad.
resource, and was just a bull for my brother. And
Who might I say is the sweetest, because I when I met him, I see pictures and I obviously knew because I know you, but when I
Yes.
met him, he was just what I think such a beautiful soul. And I don't want to say like simple soul, but the
Innocent.
simplicity,
Yes.
the simplicity and the innocence of childhood.
complete.
And just kind, and it was such a beautiful experience. And I didn't share that with you because I get a little like heart, my heart
Yes,
hurts, so I didn't
yes.
know how to say what I wanted
Yes.
to say.
And I don't know how to. That is, and thank you so much
Of
because
course.
that is probably the most accurate, on point description of him. And that is really the anchor of our whole family. And at that time when he was diagnosed, my mother was like, and for us, our faith, because we were born and raised Catholic.
Correct.
And at that time, I will never forget my mom running out and me following after her because I was afraid like she was going to crash. I was like, what?
Right, right.
What's going on? And I find her in an empty church, empty Catholic church, and she's on her hands and knees at the altar. And she's just cursing out God. Like she's just going on. And I'm standing in the back kind of saying like, yeah, like why would you let this happen? Hadn't she been through enough? Like
Right.
hadn't we we came out to California, this was supposed to be our happily ever after. Like it's
Right.
not now. Nothing I achieve, nothing my brother Francis achieves, nothing we do is ever going to change this
Right.
or fix this.
No.
Like this, our life everything's changed.
Yeah,
We're
permanently.
not crazy wild gypsies on this airplane, on that plane, and doing this, and like my brother and I don't get to be little Hollywood rich kids. Like
Right.
everything, we don't even know what autism is. This is now 24 years ago.
Right. Correct.
And it's like everything is changed now. And my mother, our manager, our hero, our mother, father, our rock,
right. Needs a break.
she's unapproachable. She's in a place that no one can access. And lots of times, people will say to me, "Oh, you're such a good daughter. You stayed by your mom's side. Like, oh, you're so." And I kind of look at them like, let me confess this right now. I didn't want to lose my mom.
Right.
So I just pulled up a seat and learned all there was to learn about autism just so I could keep my mom. I just dove into my mom's pain because that's where my mom was. And I was not going to lose my mom.
No, it's not just that, but Chanel, you're like a mom. You know what I mean? We talk about having children and you haven't had any children
I
yet,
know.
but you have.
Yeah.
You have. So, you're asking God, oh, I just got chills. You're asking God, why did this have to happen? It might not be about your mom having another heartbreak. It might have been another reason for you to write that story.
I think so.
Another reason why, if I walked around asking God, why did I get raped? Or God, why am I a drug addict? Or God, why did my ex-husband do this? Or why did my father die? Or how come my mother's a pain in the ass? Or how come my sisters will never understand me? I don't like the word why.
We can't.
They
I've given up
say
the
it's a
word.
cricket. Why is a cricket letter? So is my father. FYI. So was my dad.
But that's when people say, "Where's your healing?" I gave up the word why.
Yep.
Why has been omitted from
There's
the
no reason to
vocabulary.
ask. It's here and now. Why bother asking why? It's already happening.
And all the answers are there now. I can see them. In hindsight, I couldn't, but now I can
Absolutely.
see them. That at that moment in time, we began our spiritual journey.
Right.
And we studied everything. My mother studied Kabbalah, Judaism, Buddhism. She went to
Wow.
everywhere that she could.
I went to a mosque.
Yeah.
I did. I remember, and not to interrupt you, but I got to share this with
No,
you. So I
definitely.
remember I was dating somebody and his father had a mosque. And I wanted to go so bad because I was ready for this, such an NCIS fan that Ziva David, okay, and this is true story. I wanted to understand it.
Yeah.
Okay, but she wore the Jewish star, but then there was all these things, and I was like, I want to know what it means. I want to know. And his mother, he's like, you can't come in. You're not, you know. So I was like, no, I'm
We don't
going
do
in.
well
I'm
with
going
rejection.
in. No, right? So he's like, his mother came outside, and she just happened to be a Mob Wives fan.
Oh my
So
goodness.
she said, just tell her to put her hood on, and she could
See?
come. So
That
I
mob
remember.
card,
So I
it
was.
gets
I
it
know.
everywhere.
I was sitting on the side, and he was like, "Well, you can't go in and pray where they pray." And she's like, "Yes, she can. She could come in." And I remember going like this. I got to take my earpiece out for a second. I swear to God, I remember going when you have to bow. Oh my
Did
God!
you
I swear
do
I'm
it
not cheating on you.
correctly?
I'm not cheating on you. I'm not cheating on you. Oh my God, I'm not cheating on you. I'm not cheating on you. I'm not cheating. But I was so curious about
Yes.
religion
Yes.
that I wanted to know more about being Muslim. I wanted to know what it was.
And can I tell you that I'm a firm believer, like, I'm married to God. I'm married to Jesus.
Right.
That's nobody can fill those sandals. That's
Absolutely
that's
not.
the choice I've made in my life. That's who I live for, especially the way my family has been raised. I want to know that there's someone that would die for me. I
Right.
live in that sacrificing
did die for us.
that, look, he's the
Right.
boss of all bosses, and
Boss
he died
of-
for me.
And he's
I'm
hanging out with
good.
the bosses of all
I'm
bosses.
good, you
Not for
know what I
nothing.
mean?
They're eating at his table now.
I'm telling you. So for me, but at that same time, I could never, when anyone, comes to me, or I'm never going to beat anybody over the head with a Bible.
Right.
I just want to tell people there's a God that loves you
Yep.
beyond your comprehension.
Loves your shape, color, size,
Beyond your comprehension,
everything.
beyond all of your trauma, all of your flaws, you just have no idea. And I just think that people just need to know that they're loved. People want to be heard. They need to know that they're loved.
You know something? My answer is love is the answer to everything.
Yes.
Love is the answer to everything. And I'll go back to using Jennifer, and I could use Lana too with this one. Even my mother. My father was more affectionate than my mother.
Okay.
My sisters might disagree, but I remember when my father would say, "Give Daddy a kiss," and he
Yes.
would point to his cheek. I don't remember. When I hang up the phone with my mother, I say I love you before she does.
Okay.
And I think, where was I going with this?
Is Ava? Did your mother give birth to Ava?
No, and Jennifer, because Jennifer doesn't ever warm up to me. Where she's never maybe when she was a kid. When she was a kid, because we shared the same bedroom, we played together. You know what I mean? But as an adult, my sister Jennifer has never said I love you, ever. Ever. Jennifer has never said I love you.
So Ava's answer to me is, well, you didn't give me a chance.
No, Jennifer
I knew
ain't
you
even
were going to
saying
say
that
it
shit.
first.
No, Jennifer ain't saying that shit, or she just does not. And it's so weird to me. It's so weird to me because I am like, I love you. Even my sister Lana will say I love you and give me a hug. Nothing from Jennifer. And my mother, I got to say it first.
Yeah.
But then again, my son is the same
My
way.
great-grandfather was like that. My great-grandfather was, he was just, his nickname was Giacomin, which means bulldog in Italian.
Okay.
And he was like the general, the bulldog. And I learned all the bad words in Italian. I thought I was learning Italian, but my grandfather used to bet on the horses. And every
that's my
day
father's
at
favorite
4
thing.
o'clock, he would watch his bets lose.
Right.
And he would spit at the
Mush.
TV and curse in Italian. And I would sit there thinking I was learning Italian.
Yeah, you were learning.
So
Bafangula.
we have a wedding,
Vaffanculo.
and somebody says to me, "So is Giacomin teaching you Italian?" I said, "Oh yeah." He's like, "What did he teach you?" And I just spewed everything, and the whole family was like, "Really, really, Jamesy, really, what you did here?" And those are the only times where he would get this like little smirk. And it wasn't until my great grandmother passed away that I I remember coming downstairs and hearing him sobbing and crying and knowing that, well, okay.
Yeah.
But again, there must be something there. You know what I mean?
I've seen my son cry maybe twice.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget the day we closed the casket on my dad, and all I heard, because he didn't cry at all.
Imagine, yeah.
I was high. I came out recently in an interview and said that I had to self-medicate the day that we closed the casket. But I remember hearing my son go, and it fucking killed me. Because he had no man in his life. His father is not even in any way, shape, or form a good
man cry.
Representation of a fucking anything. Like, a snake or a rat probably have a better backbone than that fucking piece of shit, to be quite honest. But when I heard my son go,
I know. It had
like,
to make you unravel.
It was it. That was it for me. I had to seriously self-medicate afterwards because I knew there was nothing I could fucking do.
No.
That I actually remember.
Because we're fixers.
Well, I also remember telling him to get up, my father, in the casket. Like, get up. And my son, like, they moved me away. I didn't totally try to climb in the casket, but I kind of sort of wanted to and just be like, get up. Like, what?
That would be me.
It's this feeling of abandonment. There you go.
Oh, my God.
You just said it.
Oh, my God.
You said it before. It was abandonment.
You really, that thank you so much for really helping me get there quicker, because that was really the feeling. And then as I told my mom, I didn't even stop at that moment to think, once again, you're caught up in your own feelings.
Right.
Like, I'm the news that my father is dead. I'm not stopping to realize that I'm telling my mom, her first love.
Right.
This whole part of her life that she sacrificed so much, made so many life-changing, life-altering decisions for, is now gone.
Yep.
And then we don't even know how it's happened. We just know that it's happened.
Know that's happened.
So of course now she's going to make the next phone calls and she's going to find out details. And then at this time, my brother was really dealing with, like, my brother was on this kick where he was Tupac. He was really trying to find his identity.
Right.
He was just, he was in the studio rapping. My brother's a brilliant rapper.
Is
no
he?
one knows. My brother is, like, insane.
Really?
My brother, Chanel Capra, is one of the most talented lyricists in the world.
Really?
Haha, Francis, I told everybody. But
yes, Francis, I now want you to make me a rap song.
Oh, my God. It's so amazing. So at that time, that's all he was focusing on. He was just taking his checks and going into the studio, coming home with like a different Hummer every day. My brother was like out of control.
I love it.
But he was being a boy. So I think that was also his way of trying to find his manhood and his identity and where he fit in. Right.
Because now he lost his father that he never really truly knew.
But yet he knew there was this strength in him that he couldn't identify where it was.
Well, it came from his father. But actually, no, I don't mean to discredit your dad. It came from his mother.
It did.
It came from his mother because his as my grandson would say, mother. You motherfucker. You motherfucker. That's what my grandson says.
for my brother Francis, I think maybe for him that wasn't man enough.
Of course it's not.
It wasn't. It was going to be respectable it was going to make a good song to say I got my strength
from a woman.
From a woman. He needed to identify, and that's why I say is his story's got to be a completely different perspective, because I don't know that perspective. I've had to, but in that same point, my mother actually said to me the other day, oh, Sweetie had this amazing pink wig on, and I pulled it up on Instagram, and I was like, I love this wig. And she's like, can you please start wearing wigs like this?
You know what? Your fucking mother is just,
this is my
mother.
What
I gotta say? Your mother's aces. Just like
my mother.
Ace.
So she says, she goes, and I said, Ma, she goes, no one knows.
Can we show up this weekend?
Oh, please.
In pink wigs?
Can
we go buy pink wigs?
But this is my mom, and she would give you the same advice. My mom says this. She goes, you have such a soft, feminine side to you. She's like, and it makes me sad that you've had to be the male persona of the household and in the family. She's like, and that you've had to always be my bouncer. my
Right.
bully, my
She's
that
a remarkable
it's-
woman and so loving. And to open up your house to me, Cassandra, the hairdresser, the other friend that showed up later with the other
the
friend.
hairdresser who was annoying the shit out of you. I'm so sorry.
I wanted to shave his head. I wanted to shave him.
so
No, because it's just laughable. It was a scene out of a fucking movie.
Oh my gosh!
like
and then more people ended up coming. More of my friends and the whole they moved all the furniture and they started doing bachata.
What? What's
Bachata
that?
is like a Dominican salsa dance.
Okay.
My one of my good friends, Carrie. I think you got to meet Carrie.
Yes, before I left.
So her and her boyfriend, they go
Yes.
out and they do like they're like part of like a salsa dancing community. And my living room turned into. I went inside to the bathroom. I came out. And my living room was a salsa
Hysterical.
dancing community, and it went on to like 3 in the morning. And that was our last Glendale hurrah.
Well, you know what? We're gonna have a Palm Springs
Oh my
day
gosh,
with
I'm
pink
telling
wigs.
you.
But now I want to ask you another question.
Yeah.
So during this time of your father passing and Ava's dad being around, where did the domestic violence increase?
The domestic violence began when my brother was diagnosed.
Okay.
And to sympathize, which I'm sympathizing with my enemy, if I as I say this, but I've really come a long way, and I haven't forgiven him for him.
You don't have to.
I've forgiven him for
you.
me, and I've forgiven him for my sister.
Well, you have,
and my brother.
See, here's how I see this. I will never forgive. No, not true. So I've forgiven my ex-husband for the domestic violence, the abuse for me. But when it comes to my son and my father, you don't get forgiveness.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to forgive you. They do. That's not mine. So
Yes.
I'll hold on to that That's the one resentment I'll never let go of. And my father went to jail for those years when he ratted on him, which would have been those years that we could have gotten him the right treatment, because that's when my father started to get sick.
Yeah.
So he was sick, but he was in prison, so we couldn't, the feds, whatever you want to call it, so we couldn't get him diagnosed. We didn't know anything till he came home and he started to deteriorate. But it had to be within those last 3 years that he was away. So switching gears a little bit, but not. I want you to finish that statement, and then I want to kind of bring us to a little bit of a happier place for you. Okay,
yes.
so let's finish about him.
So in telling my mom, by the time my brother gets home with his friends, he's now spoken to cousins in the family.
Right.
And now he has the very vivid way this had happened. And I also feel like in one way it was kind of, here he is writing these songs. He's searching for this street,
right,
like identity and the street empathy,
right.
And now he's got his song,
right.
Now he's got his story, and when he tells me, when I find out, I'm so angry. Because now you sit in a room with other women who've had not the best relationships with their dads. And they'll say, and you'll be like, oh, my dad's a prick. And we're like, oh, my dad's even more of a prick. But the second that you say, my dad is dead, my dad's passed, all of a sudden everybody's sympathetic. And it's a little bit harder to be like, oh, but don't worry, he's a prick. Because now it still makes you look like a hard bitch.
Right, right.
And for me, I'm now angry as I replay. And then it was even harder because I started having reoccurring dreams.
Okay.
That had details of how it happened that no one even told us.
Right.
So now I'm having this spiritual connection with him. I'm waking up and like I'm waking up and I'm feeling like actually like a wound in my neck, like vibrating. Like I'm seeing myself where he was. Like I'm just all of
You're
this
visualizing.
And there's a part of me that's like, how dare you? How dare you connect with me now? How dare you leave like this? Because now I don't get to stay in this comfortable, angry, no big of a deal
No, but
place
you
that I've
also
been
don't
in.
get the wedding dress made by him.
I don't get the argument with you.
That's right.
I don't get that dance.
Right.
I don't get that dress. And I have to be okay with the fact that I gotta forgive you now. And I'll forgive you. Like, that's what I'm saying is like, I forgave my stepfather. Like, I could forgive you when I'm ready to do the forgiving.
Yeah, but you don't have a choice
But
anymore.
now you are forcing me in death to forgive you.
Right.
I'm not ready to forgive you. But I gotta be honest and say nobody deserved. I know the life you chose.
Right.
And that's why, I say, look, this life, it makes a hell of a story.
Sure does.
Everybody wants to be us. We're an aesthetic, we're trending. But at the end of the day, this is a nightmare of a life. And some of us marry into it, okay. But some of us are born into it, Renee.
Oh, there's a very big difference. I'm sorry. I don't care what anybody tells me.
We don't get to choose.
No, we don't get to choose. Being born into it is completely different than marrying. And it doesn't make you less of a mob wife, but you're not a mob daughter. So a daughter is a little different than a wife.
And my princess, we wear our tiara. There's blood on that tiara.
I'm sure there was
There's
when they
blood on
robbed it
that
from the
tiara,
jewelry
whether
store.
you could scrub out.
Yeah, you know what?
You'll
a lot
never
of people
get the blood out of a diamond.
No, a lot of people will say to me, "Oh, but you praise your father. But you praise your father." I'm always going to praise my father. I'm not praising his lifestyle anymore. That's the difference with me. I switched that up. I don't praise the mafia lifestyle. I loved my lifestyle. It was fucking great when I was young. I came up in the heyday
I told you
of
I
the
had
mob.
great memories of visiting my father in jail.
Exactly. I came up in like
my mother made it fun. She
Goodfella.
made it.
I came up in the Goodfella era. That's the truth.
Yeah, and it was, everybody, I needed 2 altar boys to help me with my nameplate going down for my communion. That's how big my nameplate was. It was like, it was ridiculous.
I said I got my first fur coat when I was 7 years old. It was a white fox, and on the inside it was this color blue, and it said Renee.
I had a rabbit, a lynx.
Yeah. Oh, the lynx. My
lynx,
mother's
come
lynx.
on. And if you didn't have the matching
I still
hats,
got the lynx hat. I was just about to say it.
Peter, if you come for me, I'm telling you right here.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I won't buy it anymore. Whatever I have, I keep.
I won't.
Yes.
Because also there's a smell to it, which I didn't realize.
Somebody robbed all my stuff. She robbed my mink. She robbed my beaver. She robbed.
Okay, good. So we could give Peter her address then.
Yes.
That's how you
League
do it.
City.
You
Hey.
see, you forgive.
Thieving bitch.
So that was a huge huge adjustment for me. So now I have to change this narrative that I've protected my heart with. And now I have to sympathize. I have to mourn my father.
So is this
when I'm still pissed at him?
Yeah, that's a rough one. Because I'm not mad that my father died. I'm just mad that he died early.
Yeah.
Like I understand life.
Yes.
But it's the fact that you had to leave now?
No, and there was like so many things to do. Like here I am on the day, my big accomplishment.
Right.
I got to get this news. So like you got to see my brother do his Bronx Tale. You got to see him do all of his movies. You got to see, but like you'll never. I totally got gypped.
So let me ask you.
Like I got so gypped. Like I'm the father's daughter. I got completely gypped.
Let me ask you this. When you wrote your movie In the Mix,
yes.
How old were you?
I was 25.
Okay, so it's right after your father passed.
Yeah.
Because you were 21 when he passed, right?
No. We produced In the Mix at 25. I wrote it at 23.
Okay,
I wrote and sold it at 23.
You wrote and sold it at 23.
And then it came out at 25.
Right. So it's 2 years after you fought. Are there any similarities to...
It was based on my mom and my dad.
Okay. So did you ever think that you got your wedding dress? Think about what I'm saying.
So we shot the wedding scene of In the Mix on the last day of filming. And I remember Usher coming over to me, and I was sitting in between Usher and Kevin Hart.
Mm-hmm.
And we were laughing, and we all three said at the same time, "This feels like a real fucking wedding. Like this feels like a real wedding."
Wow.
And I got my sister in as a flower girl. And yeah.
So your father did deliver.
I guess he did.
He did deliver.
He did. And, you know, Chaz's character was that's my grandfather. You know, that I got to tell, I got to tell their story without all the ugly. So I guess he did.
He did deliver. So that little.
All right, Renee, honestly, I wasn't expecting that.
I know you neither.
But he did.
I'm sorry.
And I'm still pissed at him. You know, I'm pissed at him. I'm pissed at him now that I'm trying to buy a house.
Dad, give him a little crack at the top of that.
All right, so you delivered. You got a little bit more to do. All right?
Now you got to deliver the man.
You got a little bit more to do.
Paco and TJ, could you deliver the men?
I need a little bit more.
They delivered
FedEx?
this. No, that's FedEx.
Oh, no.
That's
UPS.
my ex-husband. My ex-husband, FedEx. But let me ask you this. So
I love you.
I love you too. Because I want you to know that sometimes people leave this earth because there's more they can do from up there than down here. You know?
Absolutely.
And I need you to hear that because I don't think I would have been sober if my father would have remained on earth.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't afraid of him anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was still chasing this feeling of never chasing the high. Understand that. A lot of people always say, you're chasing the high. I wasn't chasing a high. I was chasing a feeling of acceptance. And the only time I could thoroughly accept myself is when I couldn't think. Because my brain would move so fast at the pain in my head. And nobody could understand what I was trying to say when I would say my head hurts.
Yeah.
The movement in my head was so fast. My brain never got to settle.
Yeah.
So now you're 23, you write this movie. You write this movie and Usher plays a part.
So he plays a part and he reminded me so much of my father.
Okay.
I mean, I'll show you pictures so much. And Usher's a dancer. My father's a dancer. I wish that was, you know, Lionsgate, they decided to turn him into a DJ. And it was like, he originally was a cleanup guy for the mob. So he would detail the
I have
cars.
to watch it.
Because I originally wrote the script for DMX.
You know what? Let's. We've talked about a lot of heartache.
Yeah.
So I hope it's okay if.
Well,
I wanted to bring up
on that,
I want to bring up what happened.
You hit something that actually happened to me with my dad. So right after we finished, so we wrap in the mix. I'm having another real adult day. I call it my J-Lo day.
Your J-Lo,
you know, my Nelly from the block day. And I go and I get my my sidekick, you know, my flip sidekick when that one came out. And I'm coming out of T-Mobile and I'm getting in my Escalade. I got my Timberland, the heels, you know, the Manola Blahniks. I had them, right? And I'm getting in my car. I got my Chanel glasses. I'm really, you know, my love costs everything.
Absolutely.
Okay. And I get in the car and I'm really feeling myself. And I feel this hit in my lower back, like somebody kicks me. And I stop and I'm like, and I just, so when God talks to me, he has 3 different accents. He first sounds like James Earl Jones, Morgan Freeman, and then sometimes when he's like mad at me, he sounds like Anthony Hopkins. That's my voices for God. So at this time, he's James Earl Jones. And he's like...
What was it in Clarice?
Yeah, he's like, I love you.
Clarice.
And I'm like, maybe it was because my father had an accent. I don't know why I went with James Earl Jones, but I went with it. And I hear, I love you. And I try to shake it off. And I hear, I love you again. And I hear, forgive you.
Wow.
I love you. I see you. And all of a sudden, I break down and cry. And in the parking lot of T-Mobile on Los Feliz, I forgive my father. And I get closure.
Good
and it's all good and it's okay.
It is okay because what he's going to do for you, listen.
So healing will come. Is
Healing
what I'm saying, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it will come.
Does come.
It'll sucker punch you in the parking lot of a T-Mobile.
It might kick you in your ass.
But it will come.
It most definitely
and for those that
does.
feel like it won't, for those that are in crisis, like healing's gonna come.
Here's what I know to be fact. If I decide today to forgive him, I will have a better life.
For you.
For me. But there is something as a mother that tells me you never forgive the person that hurt your child.
Anger. It's righteous anger.
Right.
It's justified.
It's exactly. So for me, I can't forgive you because I truly know what my son is experiencing every day of his life. And you don't deserve that forgiveness. You basically were so selfish that you told on the man that you called dad that you were going to accept my last name to be your last name. You don't deserve. I'm sorry, you don't deserve forgiveness from me. If my father, when you die, because eventually he will die, he ain't going to heaven, so they ain't going to see each other again. So I think for me, like, I can't do it. There's something inside of me that says, how are you going to forgive the man that made that your son got his head cracked open? How am I supposed
Renee,
to?
I want you to know that you are talking to someone who was exactly where you were 1 year ago.
Okay, well then maybe eventually.
Still, if I'm having an off day in the kitchen with all my healing and all my Jesus,
Right.
and she comes in the room and he calls and I hear that like he's being a real
Jerk off.
fuck up.
Right.
Still, after all this time, I want to, he goes out swimming in the morning and I'm like, God, can there just be a hungry shark
Or a big
right at the
wave.
right time? Because it's, sharks got to eat. Like, why can't it happen?
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, even when you've let it go,
it
healing
creeps
is a
up, of
process.
course.
It creeps up on you, like and because it affects them.
Right.
However, when my mom was recently diagnosed with lymphoma,
Yes, I'm so sorry.
it was very early stages. She's doing amazing. I can't
Yes.
keep up with her.
Right.
She's new lease on life, and it's killing me.
Right.
But couldn't be happier. However, at that moment, when I'm sitting in the hospital, she was going in for a routine endoscopy, colonoscopy, and they find a mass. And they very dramatically, they pull me into another room. I don't have anyone.
Right.
Like she is all I've got left.
Right.
And she's all I've ever had. She's all I know. And yeah, I've raised my brother and sister, and their father is a monster.
Right.
And
I'm sorry.
I'm like, what's gonna happen? And my brother Francis deals with his own depression. Like I said, he deals with his own version of the trauma. But at that time, I know he would be there. I know he would step up, but it would be just different. Like it would still be a different kind of step up. I'm still now like really alone.
You're a parent.
In this, he'd step up like a brother. Where
Exactly.
I'm now, I still have to
parent.
fill, and my mother's shoes are not easy to fill. So at that time, my mom says to me, she's like, you gotta let things go.
Right.
She's like, I'm laying in this bed. My mom, the last violent issue was the night of my premiere for In the Mix.
Go ahead, tell me about it.
I take Ava out to the movies. I come home. My house is cautioned off in caution tape.
No fucking way.
5 cop cars.
Caution tape. That's got to automatically make you feel like murder.
Oh my God. I never I can't even tell you. It was just and it was for me and my brother. And I think it was it was definitely the breaking point of our whole family as a unity.
Right.
And everybody just tiptoeing around our step monster's illness, like his mental illness. Now that's it. It's point of no return. Apparently they got into an altercation in the bathroom and he threw her through the shower door. My mom has a shard of glass trapped in her like tailbone to her spine. She has a spine condition now for the rest of her life. She has to get spine surgery. Every time when I tell you the justified and the righteous anger, every time my mother, I go through 2 waves of emotions lately. I would get up in the morning and I see my mom doing laps in the pool.
Right.
And I say, God, a year ago, like I thought I was losing her. Now she's
swimming like the
she's
shark.
Annette Bening from that movie with I'm Jodie Foster. Like now she's like doing laps in the pool. Like what? And then later on that night, I'll see her dealing with the pain in her
Pain.
spine.
Right.
And I'll know that she's doing laps to compensate.
Yeah.
And she's trying to do her own healing because
Right.
she's fighting her fight.
Right.
And those are the times I want to get in the car.
And drive through his.
You
front
know what I'm
glass
saying?
window.
And all that.
Yeah. No, I fully
And I got to open
understand
up my Bible and I got to be like, yo, Jesus, like.
Yo,
and,
Jesus.
And because that's how I talk to my Jesus.
Right.
And that's when I'm like, my Jesus ain't a chump. My Jesus is a table flipping, double-edged sword, cursing the fig tree, and it's righteous anger, and it's there. But then I got to come down because I only want Ava and Asa, my brother and my sister, to forgive their dad because I don't want them to ever be forced into forgiveness if they lose them. I don't want them to ever revisit where
What you
I
had to-
was.
right.
Forgive him on your own. But forgiveness doesn't mean that
It's
you
not-
engage the same relationship.
Not at all.
The Latin root of the word forgiveness is that you retrieve your army.
Right.
You
Oh, okay.
retrieve battle. That's helped me deal with forgiveness so much. Okay, and that's right. I'm no longer engaging in a battle with you anymore.
Because you're not even worth it. Yeah.
You're not even worth
Those
it.
are also your boundaries.
When my mom was diagnosed, he shows up at our house. We hadn't seen him in like 7 years. And he shows up and he is quite large, not muscular large.
I didn't think he was.
Okay, he is a very large man. My sister's over there laughing because it's like,
I
you
can
know.
hear her.
And he shows up. He had stolen like over $50,000 of stuff in a storage unit, right? Told everybody he didn't do it. Shows up at our house with all of the stuff on the lawn. My neighbor calls me. My neighbor's like, there's a really fat man on your lawn, like with all this junk. And I'm like, oh my God, that's him. So I go outside. I don't want him to see my mom. I don't want him to see the kids. I still don't know what kind of state of mind he's
Right.
in or whatever.
Is he a drug or alcoholic?
No.
No.
I wish.
Drug addict.
Like,
or
I wish there was
alcoholic. Okay.
something other to
He's
blame
just
it on.
mentally-
Do you know what I
he's
mean?
got a mental
Because then for me
issue.
there would be rehab. There would be some type
Right.
of recovery.
Right.
And
No, he's just a fucked up individual.
And he's beyond far gone. He's
Okay.
beyond far gone that it's almost now sad.
Okay.
And I come out and I look and he's just laughing. But he's laughing like a person that's just not here anymore. And I just calmly, and I know this is where I know God stepped in because I don't even know where this calm Chanel came from. This was the first time I was introduced to her.
Right.
And I just look at him and I said, okay, you're going to pick all this stuff up. You're going to put it in your, I don't even know. I'm 5'1". I'm 120 pounds wet. I don't even know where this came from.
Right.
This man is like 6'3", 350.
Right.
Okay, he's standing there. I said, you're going to pick up all of this stuff. You're going to put it in the back of your pickup, and you're going to meet me at the nearest storage unit. And you're going to put all of this in the storage unit, just like it used to be, and then you're going to leave. I want to see my kids. I want to talk to my kids. I said, they're adults.
Right.
And they'll call you. I will totally tell them to call you. Well, if I'm going to put it in the storage unit, you need to come. And now I'm like, I do need to come along because I don't trust him to put it in the storage unit. And it was my brother's, part of my brother's therapy was that every day he did well in his therapy, my mom would buy him Thomas the Train, like the wooden. So my brother had a priceless Thomas the Train collection.
Set. Yeah.
And that's all he wanted was that back. So I suck it up. We go to the storage unit. We go into a freight elevator, just him and I.
Oh.
And I hesitate to step into the elevator. And then I'm like, I'm nobody's fucking victim.
Right.
I'm going in this elevator. And either one of us is coming out or both of us are coming out.
Right.
Like, Holy Spirit, it's up to you. Like, we going in. We going in because you know what? I am done. Now you know where I'm living. Now you think you could come to my front lawn. This, we will not repeat. I lived half of our life. When the violence happened, we moved around. We had, my mom got the strongest restraining order that the county had ever given someone in 24 hours, a 15-year restraining order maximum.
Oh, wow.
We had the head district attorney, this woman completely saved my mother's life. I go from a life where we're not allowed to talk to cops. And now I have the entire
police
department, saving my mom's life, my life, and my brother and my sister. We're moving in from home to home every 3 months.
Oh.
I take out my pension from the Writers Guild. I have like maybe less than 100,000 to our name, and we just go incognito. I had friends that would rent places for me under their names, and we would go we had to stay in the same area
For the restraining
because
order.
my brother's, all his services for autism were in those schools. And we lived in a very wealthy neighborhood, but we could barely afford it.
Right.
But we had to stay there so he could go to public school there.
Right.
Okay, fine. We literally every 3 months we're going from home to home to home to home. Smaller house, smaller house, smaller house. Sleeping on couches, sleeping, but like beyond, there was no glorious or means. And my brother and sister are growing up like this. And they're growing up in what my mother worked so hard
for them not to
not be in fear.
But
And we are growing up in fear. We're running from place to place to place. So on this day, on this moment now, 7 years later, I'm like, bitch, we're going down this elevator.
Right.
And I don't know who's coming out. But I need for there to be no one around but you and me. And I need to look you in the eye. And you need to know I ain't afraid of you. Now, it helped on the fact that I knew he couldn't outrun a fly. This man would have had a stroke. I was like, I ran track.
The fly
I
got
ran
wings.
track. I was like, this dude, he's huffing and puffing. He hasn't even picked up a bin yet. I got him. I'm good. I just got to run real fast. I'm good.
Right.
I'm good. And that's making light of it. And that's how I cope.
Well, that's
I always
a big
make
part
light of everything.
That's a big part of this podcast is we don't make light of your trauma. We just make your trauma lighter.
Yes.
And that's,
thank you.
You're very welcome. And that's what I want to do for many. Trauma is such a heavy thing. There is no boulder. Trauma is heavier than a boulder. It's I don't think people understand. It's this invisible boulder. It's like I can't even explain it.
And it's not even so much as trauma. I want people to really explore and really, really address PTSD.
Yeah.
And I want them to know it's not something that just happens to a soldier. It's not something that just happens to a domestic violence. Like if your parents divorce tomorrow, I'm sorry, there's a seed of PTSD. And somewhere down the line, you're in a relationship and the conversation of divorce comes up, you're going to feel PTSD. The more we don't address it and the more it just gets buried in.
You're talking to the queen of
trauma
PTSD.
is going to show up.
Yep.
Trauma is going to rear its head.
Yep.
And all I have done, and I do want to say this in your presence to my sister, is I'm so sorry if I've been so hard on you. But I just don't want her to, if I could just eliminate 9 hurts out of the 10 I know she's going to have to go through.
Yes.
Then that's all.
Right. But it's what you have to understand is it's not your responsibility. You can't, in order for Ava to be the adult and the woman that you're hoping and wanting her to be, you have to let her experience all 10.
I know.
Because each one has a different lesson.
And I never thought that I would say this because it was actually like a fallacy that I would hear people say and it would piss me off because I didn't want to go through the trauma. But now I sit here with you and I'm like, I needed all of that to happen.
Of course you needed all. Listen.
My mother needed all of it to happen. I needed, like, when we talk about generation, my mom and I are 15 years apart. We're 15. My sister and I are 15 years apart. We have 3 generations going on. And I don't think that that's coincidental.
I don't think any of it is.
I think the reason why we are going through the trauma we're going through is because the buck stops with us.
Right.
It stops with us.
Right.
So when I say to you, I need you to win, Renee, I need you to win because it has to stop. You have to end it for the Grazianos. I have to end it for the Capras. Like it stops with us. And I know that is easier said than done. Believe me. I got into that elevator with that fat fuck and I was like, listen, bitch. Okay? I need you to know I'm not afraid. Yeah. I'm not afraid of you. I'm not going to move. I'm not going to be I'm not afraid of you. You will never hit, hurt, follow, stalk. No. And you know what? I'm gonna tell my sister and my brother to call you, because you should see what an extraordinary woman my sister is. You should know that with absolutely no input, actually you did everything to prevent her from becoming an extraordinary woman. Yes, if I never have kids tomorrow, my brother and my sister are just, and maybe it's just to me, but wow. My mom, we did a good ass job.
Well, God gave you what he believed
and
you could handle.
And he should see my brother. He should see what autism looks like at 27 when you don't give up. Everyone should see that. And so when I say I need you to win, I need to win so that she knows that winning is possible. We sit and scroll on that Instagram all day long trying to see, oh, is that the ass we want? Oh, did she lose weight? Oh, is that where we're going to go stay? Oh, is that car? Oh, is that the trauma that she healed from?
Right.
Is that the fight that she won? Like I said before, we're so quick to be like, oh, we'll see how long she stays on that diet. You get
You're
away.
Always looking for the fail.
Yeah,
never
you get
the
away
win.
from a guy, and right away your friend is like, wants to remind you, if you meet somebody new, not celebrate the fact that you got from a bad relationship, and you might be blessed with a good relationship. I don't want, and I really, really am hard on her. I've been celibate for like
forever.
Yeah, Lenny Kravitz said 9 years. I got 10 on him, and I think I did that for me as this is how I protect myself. This is how
that's a really
you
big
will never hurt me and I will never. However, I was raised on Disney princesses and Cinderella and fairy tales. I'm a romantic. I'm a writer. I refuse to not have a happily ever after. I don't care if I'm 60 in the wedding dress that now I have to design and sew myself. But I've got plenty of designer friends. They'll do it.
Yes.
It's Alpho. But with that said, I'm not going to give up on the idea that there is a good man who will never hit a woman, who will be loyal, who will sweep not just me off my feet,
your whole family,
but my
honey.
sister off her feet. I don't want to give up. Yes, I'm not the princess locked up in the tower waiting for a prince to save me.
Rolling down your hair,
I'm gonna get out that window myself.
You know what, Chanel?
But I don't want to give up. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I don't want the trauma to taint the dream.
Well, and I want to end it there for the simple reason that I want you to say that again. I don't want the trauma. Say it.
I don't want the trauma to taint the dream. For any of us.
And it's not. You know what? You made me emotional, and I'm really trying very, very hard not to
but
cry.
you did it first to me, so that's what you got.
I just know that in my heart of hearts, the way that we met, the whole connection, especially the God connection, and you were there when I was going through hell. I firmly believe you're in my life for a really good reason, and I got scared that time that I raised my voice to you.
No, but that's.
And I'm saying it to say this. I got scared that somebody knew me so well and was coming close to me and wanted to love me, that I have to push this person away, because if I don't, I'm going to be a victim of something else in my life. You kind of straightened me out on the victim mentality.
Yeah.
Like, you know what, Renee, not everybody wants to fucking get you. Not everybody. You're not the centerpiece in every fucking story, Renee. And I think for me, I had to hear that because it had a lot to do with my relationship with Jennifer. And it had to do with me allowing somebody as wonderful and as beautiful as you into my life, that I spent Easter with. You're not a stranger, but a bunch of strangers in a room. God. Like a family that I really didn't know. I
just wanted to, but at the same time, Renee, and that it's hard. It's hard for women our age to with these past traumas to let our guard down for new friendships. And that's really fucked up because you know what? You might find your best friend at 50.
Yes.
You might find your best friend at 60. Like, that friend may turn out to be a ride or die more
Better
than your
than
high school
anybody
friends,
else.
better than anybody else. And it's such a shame that we limit ourselves to that because we feel like there's no possible way. And I felt we went head to head.
Yeah.
But when I hung up the phone, she was so upset because she was like, I love Renee. I don't understand this. The one friend you go get that I really, really like. I was like, Ava, shut the fuck up. But, and my mom said to me, well, you guys are going to be like best friends.
Absolutely.
You guys are going to be best friends after this. But I said, Mom, not if she thinks who I am is not genuine and is phony baloney.
Yeah. And I think it was because I was so being
But I
burnt.
understand.
I know, and that's why we were able to.
Yeah, I understand, and I could be like, all right, Renee, yeah, I'd be like a little Chanel. Are you for real? Yes.
And no, because it's just it's a different experience coming from a woman. Because I'll let my guard down for a man, but not for a woman. But the woman is really going to be the best friend. The man is going to be the icing on the cake. Eventually, he'll come along. I'm really not concerned about him anymore.
You
It's
can't.
more about
You're so
no.
gorgeous.
Thank you, and likewise.
But you're gorgeous inside. But all of this has to heal, and you got to know that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But man or woman, Renee, we've been through some shit. And we're not letting our guard down. No one understands what a gift that is. Like, no one understands what a gift that is. And my most vulnerable and relaxed place for me, because when I'm out, I'm in work mode for her.
Okay.
I'm in protective mode for the family. You know what I mean? I'm in producer mode. Like, all of that, you're not getting the most present me. You're not getting the most relaxed me. So it was really important when you said, I'm here in Easter. No, I don't have anybody here. You're away from your family. I was like, God, this is an opportunity for me to just be my most relaxed self with Renee, and for us to just chill. Like,
And
to
we
just
did.
and know
And it was
that there's no
beautiful.
interference in it, and I look forward to us growing our friendship. I look forward to
growing up with you, man, because I know at least I'm gonna have some fucking
We're two
fun.
cancers. We're gonna eat well.
Hell
We're
yeah!
gonna dress well, entertain well.
You know what? Thank you so much. And you know what we did today? We cried, sis.
We did.
I love you so much.
I love you.
Thank you.
I fucking love
I love you too. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This has been another episode of the Crisis Queen podcast.